Kidney cancer patients have a lot of treatment options, but hydrocyal 2 should be on the table as a consideration. Again, there is patient selection that is required, but for some patients, this can be a short course of treatment that can produce a durable, by durable I mean decades-long, complete response with no need for subsequent treatment. Therefore, it needs to be presented as an option, even if it is not what a patient ultimately decides to do.
Because it is still a potentially curative approach to the treatment for kidney cancer. So we've used hydrocyal IL-2 for quite some time. It was approved in 1992. And while it is restricted to centers with experience, it can still induce durable, potentially curative responses in patients.
Interleukin-2 has been around for a very long time, and even now in the age of cutting-edge immunotherapies, kidney cancer patients are really interested in it because it's one of the very few therapies that we know for sure has the possibility of a very long, lasting response. Some patients even exhibit response over decades, and so I think that's why kidney cancer patients remain really interested in it.
A patient for IL-2 goes through a screening process because of the rigor of the treatment, so they do require some evaluation of organ function, physical function, performance status, but it does not have to be an Olympic athlete. We've treated people in their 60s and 70s with hydrocyal IL-2.
I think the most important patient is one where you feel they can walk into therapy. Patients who are asymptomatic, patients who have clear cell kidney cancer typically, and the patients where you feel that for the next 3 to 4 months they really don't need to respond. They can walk into this therapy and can potentially progress, and you don't lose any room. I think that's I would say the most important patient population.
So we really don't know if there's a different group of patients that will respond to a cytokine IL-2 versus an antibody, anti-PD-1. We do know that there are people who have progressed after PD-1 inhibitors that respond to hydrocyal IL-2. And we know the converse, that there are people that have had hydrocyal IL-2 that will respond to a checkpoint inhibitor. That's one of the things we want to figure out, and also something that would be an important discussion of a combination therapy.
Yeah, so we have some data from registries where that suggests that the patients who progress on checkpoints can still respond to interleukin-2 and vice versa. So our sense is that those populations may not completely overlap, and so there is a rationale for pursuing that in selected patients.
So far, they have been tolerable treatments with no huge increase in toxicity. So I think the answer is yes, because they're approaching the immune system from different perspectives.
So I think it's a very exciting time, and I think we still don't know yet how to best combine some of these. So there are some interesting data out there, emerging data with some of these combinations, and I think it's an understudied area, and I would always encourage patients to look into clinical trials. It's certainly, I think, a very interesting approach, and I would certainly encourage patients to look into them.
I would say that patients with kidney cancer should really strongly consider hydrocyal IL-2, even if they want to consider it as a second-line therapy, following something that might be easier as an outpatient. It is a drug that can produce durable, complete responses in patients, and even what we call surgical complete responses, where there's major reduction in tumor and residual tumor is resected, and those patients also can have decades-long durable responses. The other advantage of IL-2 is that it's a short-term treatment. If it works, you're done. If it doesn't work, there are at least 10 other drugs that can be tried. So I still am a very strong advocate of hydrocyal IL-2 therapy.
Yeah, so my general advice is, don't be discouraged by the initial description of the side effect profile, right? It's very different than the side effect profile from checkpoints. Checkpoints, you can get these chronic autoimmune diseases that are sometimes taking months to get under control, rheumatoid arthritis, for example, other complications. High-dose IL-2 is really the acute toxicity that is making patients uncomfortable. The need potentially to be in the intensive care unit, be closely monitored. But these are highly reversible side effects. If you go to a center of expertise, this can all be managed. It's no fun to be in the intensive care unit, but quite frankly, these are all reversible side effects. So it's really the acute toxicity versus the potential chronic long-term toxicity. It's a different flavor of toxicity, but don't be discouraged by what you read online. Talk to an expert, seek out an expert, and go from there.
I think that many patients with advanced kidney cancer should consider a consult with an IL-2 expert because it may be the difference in them living for decades or not.